Hi everyone, my name is Karolina Długosz and I'm a CSR manager at Capgemini Poland. And I've been also a part of Come Closer to Disability Task Force that has been created a year ago as a result of ABSL signing a declaration, Business Closer to Disability. Dorota?
Yes, my name is Dorota Piotrowska and I represent Strefa Job, a company, as Derek mentioned, specializing on one hand in recruitment, diversity recruitment, but in particular in recruiting and inclusion of people with disabilities within our Tak Pełnosprawni program, roughly translated as Yes for Disability. And let me maybe say that we launched this program in 2009, and 8 years now. I trust that having learned many sometimes painful lessons, but also having collected many rewarding experiences, I think I'm ready to say today, and it's again Socrates that I'm going to quote. So I'm ready to say that, as far as I'm concerned, all I know is that I know nothing, or at least still very little, about the very topic of employing people with disabilities, of what implications various kinds of disabilities have for employees and employers. And maybe I'll leave you with this provocative statement for now, because we'll be getting back to it on various points during our presentation later on. But maybe why I'm saying this is that this very statement, or this very conclusion, made us, my company, join Come Closer to Disability Task Force too. And so we are both members of Come Closer to Disability Task Force. We are going to tell you more about the group later on, because I think we met there exactly to answer the very many questions we have to the process of integrating, recruiting people with disabilities. And this is what we have for you today, to tell you why it's important, why it's imperative now in Poland, what are the business cases, or what's the business case, what is the diversity return on investment behind it. Yeah? So we have the ROI called DROI, and we will try to show you that there is a strong DROI behind it. And also we'll tell you how to start. Yeah, so this is what we've prepared for you today.
And we will also share something very tangible at the very end of the presentation. But we would like to wake you up a little bit at the very beginning and ask you some questions. And let's say that for yes, you raise your hand up. So we won't be using the application now, but we want you to raise your hand up if you answer yes to the question. The first question is, imagine a person getting to your office, to the office where you go every day to work, a blind person going there with a dog, a guide dog. Would your receptionist, the building receptionist, let them in easily? Who says yes? Thank you. Thank you for this answer. And actually, I was a little bit expecting that kind of answers. My point here is that accessibility of our offices doesn't only refer to the regulations we have in the country or to the training we do to our own employees, but also we depend on people who are employees of our landlord, for example. So that's the first point. The accessibility is not only about regulations, but very often, very, very often about the willingness of people on their way and of awareness of these people. The second question is, you already see it, can a person with niezdolność do pracy in Polish, which is inability to work, certificate inability to work, work? Who says yes? Okay, better. This time it's better. So, yes, a person with inability to work can work. And while talking about disability inclusion, you need to understand that there are various disability certificates for different purposes. So in the guidebook we will be talking about later, you will find out more about disability certificates, and you need to know for now that this is the doctor that gives the certificate that enables a disabled person to work. And the certificates, you might also know, are for the purposes of assurance, for example. The next questions, there are 4 questions, there won't be many questions, is, should you buy a new machine, a coffee machine without a touch screen, to the open space where you have just employed a blind person And let's say 99 others can see. Who says yes? Good. Okay, no. So the answer is no. And I keep forgetting in English, it's called reasonable adjustment. You need to know that there is that there are regulations called reasonable adjustments that tell you what is the reasonable adjustment at your workplace that you should do while employing a person with disability. As long as this person can make herself a coffee in any other way, you don't need to change the machine that 99 other people are using. You don't need to buy a new one. And the last question is my favorite, because we've been talking about technologies all day yesterday. And do you know, or would your IT guy know in your company, what assistive technology, what equipment, what support equipment is needed for a person working with one hand, for a person who has a visual impairment to work in your office? Would your IT guys know it? I'm happy you have these answers. We need to talk. It seems like your company is prepared. So, my experience is that the most common assistive technology we all know is a wheelchair. But we know nothing about assistive technology we have to install on our computers. We know nothing about keyboards for people who work with one hand. We know nothing. We are talking about robots, but we have problems with installing very basic assistive technologies in our companies. So I give the floor to Dorota now because
this is actually how we would like to conclude this short session, the short Q&A session. Yeah. Basically, what we believe is the most important conclusion to make before you start is that we have every right not to know everything about this area, because it's very complex, it's very, I would say, diverse. There are so many types of disabilities that surround us, and actually, I don't know if you realize, but 60% of them are invisible. Yeah, so we are not even aware that people we employ do have disabilities because they do not feel inclined to disclose this to their employer. They don't have to, legally speaking. And so we simply don't know that. And we don't know how to actually make our workplaces better for them and make them more efficient at work. Yeah? Okay, having said that, let us move on and take a look, or let us watch a very short movie. It's a 1-minute movie. And tell me actually what went wrong in this movie and how do you think it could have been prevented? Okay, try to answer these questions to yourselves and yeah, let us see it.
Well, you've certainly got the skills, and if you join us, we'll take those to the next level. Is there anything else you think I should know?
Well, I should probably tell you that I have a history of depression, but it's nothing that I...
Well, good. Excellent. We're 10 floors up here. Is that going to be okay? Obviously, we won't sit you next to a window. But honestly, don't worry. We're all a bit mad here.
Really, it's fine. I can cope with everything.
I've actually got a nut allergy. No nuts allowed in the building. Present company accepted, obviously.
This man has a problem, but he and many others like him can get help. For a better understanding of mental health issues, visit direct.gov.uk/mental health.
Okay, so what do you think went wrong? What's the primary reason for this job interview? Actually, it was like the end of the interview process. Promising talent, his manager. So what went wrong in this very last stage? Anybody? Just very quickly. He panicked. Why did he panic? Exactly, he knew nothing about depression. So what happened was he jumped to some assumptions automatically. Did he ask a single question about what his condition was all about? And this is exactly what happens. So we have every right not to know everything, or not to know much about various conditions, but we have no right to jump to conclusions. We have no right to assume. And now let me tell you why we believe that these two approaches are very important and why they should help us actually open up to this topic of building an organization inclusive of people with disabilities. So these two are really, really crucial, and I will show you why statistics actually should convince you to start with the topic if you don't have this topic already as a corporate social responsibility topic, on the agenda in your companies. So let's look at some statistics. Karolina, maybe I should use the pointer. I believe it's a statistic, it's a graph actually already referred to by my 4 speakers. It's actually McKinsey's report. Let's see if that works the way it should. No, it doesn't really, so let me, let me just describe it. So if you look at it, in particular the middle column, this is actually, as you can see the picture, the landscape, our labor market landscape in Poland in 2012 versus the estimates for 2025. If you look at 2025 and you actually add up all the minuses, the red triangles and minuses, it actually sums up to minus 2.7 million people on the labor market. Yeah? So basically, as you, Derek, said, we need to actually do anything we can to actually squeeze out as much as possible of this shrinking talent pool. And we need to get ready for that. And people with disabilities is one of the actually talent pools that employers so far have not really addressed that much because of those various, kind of assumptions, and fears. So this is actually the time to do that. I'll tell you also why. If you look at the graph once again, you will see that the biggest group, actually, the group that as compared to 2012 and 2025, if you look at the group 60 years and over, this will be the biggest group, actually. The growth is actually the biggest, So we can actually takes me actually directly to the next slide because they are interconnected. So it's all about our aging population, So 10 years from now, actually, we will have many more people over 50, over 55 in our offices. And basically, if you look at number 3 from the top, maybe, again, I will explain briefly. This is 2010 versus 2060. The longer the red arrow, the bigger the difference between 2010 and 2060. And if you look at that from the top, Poland is ranked number 3, from the top, right? So the average, actually, the median age in 2016 in Poland is almost 54 years.
And we will be the oldest.
One of the actually oldest in Europe. There are several other countries actually very close to that. To compare, you have a couple of other countries down there outside of Europe. So there are countries with, even more drastic median age, like Japan. 57.6. But if you look at Europe, we are one of the actually oldest societies in Europe. Why am I saying this now? Because, and that's the next statistics, in the group, age 60 and more, already now, every other person belongs to the group with biological disabilities. So it could be, like allergies, or it could be results of cancer. But it's already now every other person that we employ, 60 and over, with different kinds of disabilities. And knowing that, we believe that employers need to get ready now already to know how to keep that talent, how to take advantage of those experienced employees. If we don't know that, we don't have this competitive advantage anymore. So it's important already now, let alone 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and so on.
So this links us very well to this subtitle of the conference. You see, the old word disrupted. And now we are talking about disability inclusion. We will be walking like this. And what I want everybody always to understand when we are presenting the program of our company is that we are not talking about charity. We are not talking about charity, fundraising, any other typical charity program, because we are talking about business need and societal need. Also, we are not talking about something that has been always the favorite, let's say, 2 words of our bosses, which is a quick win. This is not at all a quick win. Diversity, inclusion in companies that has been creating standards for years. There is no standard in disability. We were doing a program of disability inclusion in the company, and we understood that even within one, let's say, kind of disability, you will have different aspects that you need to take into account while employing this person. So we've been creating standards in the company, but once we have an individual that enters our company, we see that we are not flexible enough. And the diversity inclusion and disability inclusion requires flexibility from us. And somebody said that the most important part of the statement comes after but. So, our experience is that companies claim that they are ready to include people with disabilities, but, as said before, they have no knowledge about assistive technologies. But they are not open and flexible and have no disability awareness. And one of the buts I like the most is, but oh my God, they will work 7 hours a day. This 7 hours makes managers and companies being really freezed in terms of employing somebody who has a disability certificate. Now, society and people with disabilities in the society claim they would love to go to open market, but they are not competitive in terms of employability skills. In every open market company, it's the employability skills at the entrance level that will decide whether you are employed or not. But they want to work in the open market, but they are afraid, which is understood, of losing their social pension, the disability pension, renta niepełnosprawna, socjalna. Ja zawsze mylę te pojęcia, niestety. Also, people with disabilities are willing to go to open market, but, which we understand why, are afraid of real long-term employment because the system we've been creating for years didn't actually prove it's for long-term employment, but it was to get the funds from PEFRON, not to really be an employee that is needed for many, many years.
Maybe for some of you, we will actually decipher the acronym PEFRON, which is like Polish Fund for Rehabilitation of People with Disabilities. We'll get back to that later.
That's right. Thanks, Dorota. Can you repeat louder here? Is there anybody from France here? Okay. Just in case. And employees claim they are very happy if their company employs and includes people with disabilities, but maybe not in my team, maybe in HR. Or maybe in CSR, which is in my company very often, but the CSR team is very small. Or maybe elsewhere, and at the end we find out that, can I say see you to a blind person? So they have no disability awareness. They are afraid how to cope with a person with disability in their team. So I would say that this guy was right, saying that for every complex problem, there is an answer that is clear, simple, and wrong. Because if you look at the society challenges, at the company challenges and awareness challenges, then you will see how many aspects need to be addressed while disability.
Mam na imię Kamila. W Capgemini pracuję od ponad 2 lat. Zajmuję się, w skrócie można powiedzieć, audytem.
W momencie, jak Kamila się pojawiła, zainstalowaliśmy głos w windach, który informuje o tym, na którym piętrze zatrzymuje się winda, czy jedzie w górę, czy w dół. Kolejnym usprawnieniem były naklejki z alfabetem Braille'a, żeby ułatwić jej po prostu to dotarcie do swojego biurka. Samo biurko zresztą też odpowiednio umieściliśmy w takim miejscu, żeby ono było przy przejściu. Takie naklejki też pojawiły się w kuchni, gdzie mamy takie naklejki specjalne, obrazkowe. Na szafkach, w których znajdują się tam talerze, kubki, sztućce, opisaliśmy to tak, żeby mogła namacalnie poczuć, co jest w której szafce, żeby samodzielnie mogła się poruszać.
Adaptacje na moim stanowisku pracy polegają przede wszystkim na tym, że mam zainstalowany na komputerze tak zwany program odczytu ekranu, czyli screen reader. który działa w ten sposób, że przetwarza informacje znajdujące się na monitorze komputera na jednostki słyszalne, tak zwane fonemy, które są następnie wypowiadane przez syntezator mowy.
Is lista ten element to posium zagnudiniawan. Zais. Zait business partners.
Dzięki temu programowi można swobodnie w miarę poruszać się po środowisku Windows, korzystać z przeglądarki internetowej, z pakietu Office.
Competitiveness team left parendex right paren subpages versus graphica.
Przed przyjściem Kamili cały zespół został przeszkolony ze świadomości niepełnosprawności. Takie szkolenia zostały zaoferowane wszystkim pracownikom i zostały przeprowadzone przez osoby również z niepełnosprawnością wzrokową.
Celem prowadzonych przez nas szkoleń było uświadomienie kolegów i koleżanek z pracy, jak na co dzień funkcjonują osoby z niepełnosprawnościami. Zaszczepić taką świadomość w uczestnikach szkolenia, że osoba z niepełnosprawnością funkcjonuje w społeczeństwie tak samo jak osoba bez tej niepełnosprawności, tylko wymaga to rozmaitych adaptacji i pokonania różnych barier, które stawia społeczeństwo.
Mama mówiła, że tata jej mówił, że musi oddać wyrocznie do naprawy, bo się zawiesza.
Razem z Fundacją Menedżerowie Jutra MOFIN robimy nie tylko szkolenia z zakresu świadomości niepełnosprawności w firmie, ale także wyjątkowy projekt, nasz flagowy projekt Teatr.
Ale Marek mówił, że trzeba wiedzieć, kim się chce być. Inaczej będziesz pracować w korpo.
To jest spektakl charytatywny, który od wielu lat wystawiamy na scenie w jednym z krakowskich teatrów, a zysk ze sprzedaży biletów przeznaczamy właśnie na wsparcie edukacyjne osób z niepełnosprawnościami.
Kim jesteś?
Nie wiem.
Dziewczynka rzuciła mnie do pralki razem z nożem i łyżkami.
Dzięki projektowi Teatr w zeszłym roku zebraliśmy pieniądze na to, aby uruchomić wyjątkowy kurs języka angielskiego. Razem z Fundacją Menedżerowie Jutra MOFIN oraz Szkołą Select przygotowaliśmy wyjątkowe szkolenie z zaadoptowanymi materiałami właśnie dla osób z niepełnosprawnością wzroku.
Adaptacje polegają na tym, że każdy tak naprawdę rozdział z podręcznika musiał być przeniesiony do odpowiedniego formatu pliku tekstowego. Część zadań musiała zostać zmieniona, jeśli chodzi o treść. Musieliśmy zmienić czasami numerację zadań, musieliśmy zmienić czcionkę.
W pracy angielski przydaje się w bardzo różnych sytuacjach. Począwszy od komunikacji mailowej, która w dużej części przychodzi po angielsku, poprzez różne procedury, no i współpraca w zespołach.
Uważam, że jest to idealna grupa, ponieważ chcą korzystać z każdej możliwości nauczenia się czegoś nowego.
W moim przypadku branie udziału w innym kursie wcześniej nie przynosiło żadnych efektów. Możliwość uczestnictwa w takim kursie powoduje, że chcemy wykorzystać to najbardziej jak się da.
Równe szanse w pracy to dla mnie przede wszystkim dostosowanie stanowiska pracy do specyficznych potrzeb osoby z niepełnosprawnością. Czyli w moim przypadku użycie jakiegoś programu powiększającego, tudzież udźwiękawiającego.
No, są obszary na pewno, które adaptuje się prościej, są obszary, które adaptuje się nieco trudniej, natomiast myślę, że kluczem tutaj jest elastyczność i otwartość członków zespołu, otwartość liderów, otwartość managementu.
So this has been just an example of what we managed to do in Capgemini starting from 2014. But we came together last year in a very special Come Closer to Disability task force that actually Morphine Foundation, that is present here in the room with Irek and Małgosia sitting in the middle of the room, succeeded in gathering people from different companies that were doing already inclusion projects.
Yes, and again, it was possible also to ABSL, because we do that under ABSL auspices, and of course under the leadership of Morphine. And we've managed to actually gather experience and I would say also some people actually came from companies with no experience and they were looking for answers. So we actually decided to join forces and look for those answers, yeah? And try to come up with a kind of a guidebook for all companies that are considering and opening up to the topic of including people with disabilities. Yeah?
In the group that you see that is displayed on the slide, you will have people from diverse companies, not only in Krakow but around Poland, but also external experts. And we were working for the last months to create a guidebook for companies to run disability inclusion programs. And this is this tangible outcome we wanted to share, and we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. I remember Jacek Levernes yesterday saying at the opening of the conference a statement, ABSL role is to shape new economic ecosystem in Poland and the region. I noted that. And I believe that this guidebook, it's available both in Polish and English, will be something that if you haven't yet tried doing first steps in diversity and disability inclusion in your company, take this and try to follow the rules.
Maybe we shall, I think, Karolina also name the companies that actually took part or were members of this task force, just to show you how diverse the group was. Agnieszka Schneider, an external expert, Anna Wanden, an external expert, Dorota Piotrowska, myself. It's an actually company, a middle-sized company. Yeah? Then Ireneusz Białek, Morphine Foundation, Justyna Cór, an external expert. And then Karolina Długosz, Capgemini, Karolina Duraj per Morphine Foundation, Kasia Szczudlińska-Urban, Roche, Konrad Rychlewski, Google, Magdalena Sorówka, IKEA, Małgosia Perdeus-Białek, Morphine, Monika Jankowska-Ranglow, UBS, Monika Sztendera, HP, and then Nina Kaczmarczyk-Cisco, Ognian Ranglow, UBS.
Yes, as well.
So, as you can see, varied groups.
The idea here is also to come together with the group of people that is not necessarily from the same company and from the same, and only from ABSL. We wanted to go over any divisions we have and talk about disability inclusion as a common challenge. I will maybe share the guidebook with you, and we have one last slide as a kind of, let's say, financial reason, maybe?
Yeah, because we were looking in our group, actually, we were looking for those reasons you could start with, actually. You could take this business case to your decision makers and convince them why it's worth it. So usually the very first reason is the financial reason, right? Something you can measure relatively quickly. Does anyone of you know, actually, how Polish states try to encourage Polish employers to employ people with disabilities, encouraging in inverted commas?
Hands up if yes. How the Polish government is engaging companies to...
Okay, go ahead.
And this...
Do you know that?
I believe that if you don't employ disabled persons, your company needs to pay an additional...
Yes, very good. But we actually, if you think about it, it's not a carrot, it's a stick, right? So you can't really speak of encouraging companies, yes? It's more avoiding the stick that employers have to do. But exactly, referring to what you just said, every employer employing over 25 people is obliged by law, actually, to employ 6% of people with disabilities. If not, he's forced, so to speak, to pay PEFRON contributions. Remember, PEFRON stands for Polish Fund for Rehabilitation of People with Disabilities. And this is roughly 2,000 per missing capita, so to speak, just to make it simple because it's a little bit more complicated. But just to give you numbers, Karolina maybe, if for a company employing 1,000 people, it amounts to around 1 million PEFRON contributions a year. So it's actually a lot of money that every company in Poland is forced to pay unless they employ 6% of people with disabilities.
And here we have another question. Do you know how much your company is paying to PEFRON each month?
Or at least a year, if it's easier.
Or even an estimation. Hands up, who knows?
Oh, good. At least one person.
Good. Okay.
Actually, this is stunning, right? That employers take it for granted. That simply we have to pay, like, I don't know, social insurance, right? We don't even know that. Actually, according to our research, and we did a research called Pracodawca na Tak 2 years ago, and together with Leviatan, Konfederacja Leviatan, that showed that 56% of HR professionals have no clue what their PEFRON contributions are. Yeah? Isn't that stunning? Yeah. Okay.
We need to get going. I get the signals. So we decided to give you just 3 hints. If you go back Monday to work, if Friday is day off, consider finding your local partner, because you have the right not to know everything in terms of disability inclusion, but you need to find somebody who will guide you through the challenging task locally in your company.
And of course, you can take a look. We've picked 2 key steps, first steps for you to take. The first one is exactly partnering with a local expert, so to speak. Then number 2 is actually eye openers. Yeah, so these are the workshops that actually every organization should start with. Yeah, just to raise the consciousness about the topic, yeah? And do it with a pilot group, because it's very often impossible for big organizations to do it actually for all employees, 1,000 and over, and do it for a pilot group, yeah, 100 people maybe, and see what happens. And then, as Karolina wrote, point number 3 is simply...
The best way is to employ someone, and you will see on the way how it works. Through getting to the office, to working everyday life. In your company. We have took a little bit more time, so I guess we will stop here. If you want to join the task force, please get in touch with the Muffin Foundation that is present here. You can also go to the comeclosershow.eu and check the contact email. If you want to get in touch with us, these are our emails, so we are very open to get to answer any questions if you have them now, and I will give you the guidebooks right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.